Now we're ready to take over the other piece of the top of the tree. I've set a rigging block here with a 5/8 inch spliced die rigging sling, 10X construction. I'm using a 1/2 inch double braid rigging line. I've made my face notch, cut out the kerf cuts at the ends of the hinge, and I've tied the lead of the rigging line, the working end here, off with a 1/2 hitch and then a running bowline. Now, because I'm working at an angle here, this presents special difficulties because as I position myself, my body wants to swing around underneath the side of the tree. So what I've done is I've taken my climbing line and choked it off with a running bowline around the stem here. And I've got my lanyard also. And I've cinched my friction hitch up around this little stub here. So this is helping to keep me in a good working position. Now notice that my climbing line and my lanyard are above the rigging here. This way, when I finish my back cut and the piece releases, I'll be outside of the rigging. Now, because we do have a heavy forward lean, I'm going to use a bore cut. I'm going to bore cut through, set up my working hinge, leaving a strap holding wood on the back. Then I'll be able to put my chainsaw away, move around to the back side of the stem, and cut the strap off using my handsaw. One other thing that we've done here is, because when this piece swings over, it's going to want to come back in and get tangled up with the lowering line, I've taken the fall section of the lowering line and we've redirected it back to a stem out back here so that it'll keep it from getting tangled up with the piece as it comes over.
The fall of our rigging line has been redirected simply to keep it out of the way so the top won't tangle in it. Then we've come down to the base of the tree and redirected the rigging line again. The rigging line then runs over to the pine. We have our porter wrap there. That moves the ground worker well away from the top as it comes over. Any debris, brush that might fly, keeps him out of harm's way. It also gives us an opportunity to add a lot of rope to the system. Now, when the piece comes over and comes to bear into the rigging line, there's going to be some force and some energy absorbed by the top where rip is. By putting more rope in the system, we have more rope there available to absorb some of that energy and reduce some of the forces. So we're over here at the base of the pine tree. So we're requiring a lot of rope for this type of technique. If we were to tie two lines together, we may have a real difficulty in getting the knot to pass through the porter wrap in order to get the top to the ground. So again, we need to be using long ropes for this. Placing the friction device or taking wraps on an adjacent tree would allow us to add more rope to the system. It would also increase the angle of the rigging line at the rigging point, both having the effect of reducing forces at the rigging point. But caution is in order, however, because a bending moment will be created and the forces will no longer be directed down the stem of the removal tree.